Tell me in the lead up to, or at least everything that you want to share about leadership in the lead up to 9 months ago, and then the last 9 months.
There was a lot of forward thinking. I knew that growth was coming because it was one of those phases, right? We talked about dating the phases, and I was getting towards the end of my dating relationship of the last phase. And so I had ran out of the reasons. So I talked about the value in not rushing and understanding and learning from those phases. And I felt like I got to a point where I didn't really have a lot more to learn by not forcing myself to grow. And so then I got to the point where it was like, why do I not shoot for the moon now? And so I knew that I was leaning towards forcing myself into growing exponentially. And I didn't know what the catalyst would be, but I could tell it was coming. And so what ended up happening is I started putting kind of my antenna up, my theoretical antennas for the types of people that I would need to fill some roles. And it was less about production and more about leadership, because we talked about documenting processes. And so scaling wasn't a problem. It wasn't a problem scaling fulfillment, because as long as I could find people with the skill set needed, then I could plug them into the documentation and they couldn't screw it up. So that
just to clarify, what do you mean when you said fulfillment?
Whatever the tasks at hand are that we need to do for our team, for our clients. So all the SEO things, so writing content, doing graphic design, all those things related to a website. I didn't have any concern about the ability to scale the product we provide.
Yeah.
My attention was focused more on how do we protect what we've built so far and scale that unique culture at a larger capacity, because we've grown because clients appreciate the relationships and the expectations that we set. How do I maintain that? We've grown and we have good team retention because I care about my team beyond just numbers and beyond just their contributions. I care about them and their family. I ask how their kids are doing. And so maybe before we go too deep here in a minute, maybe we come back to that comment about caring for your team, because there's a lot of unique things that unique stories that have come from that. So my attention was more like, how do I protect what we've done already and then do it bigger? And so I had kind of my antennas up for who's going to fill those responsibilities, because I'm running out of Damon. I'm running out of Damon to go around on those soft skill things. And so I was always looking for somebody that could protect the team and kind of be the team cheerleader. And that person would likely come internally because they're already exposed to that environment. So I had one team member that I thought would be a great role, and I was kind of encouraging them over the years. Like, they had this opportunity a long time ago. It wasn't something that we absolutely needed at the time, so it wasn't painful, and I didn't want to force him into a role that he couldn't see himself in yet, but I knew he was the right fit. And so as the team started to grow, he started to finally see those opportunities, and he started to see his personal interest in those. And so I asked him a couple months ago, and I said, where do you see yourself long-term with the company? And he had been thinking about that for months, and he reached out maybe 2-3 months ago and said, hey, that really stuck with me when you asked me that, and I've been thinking about it ever since, and I want to be the team cheerleader. And so now he already had the skills, but now he believes in himself that he has those skills. And so now he can take over, like now he's doing payroll for me, and now he's doing ongoing education. So now he's going through all the team members and saying, you know, what can we provide, what courses, what training, whatever can we provide to help you within your existing skill set? And beyond that, what else do you want to learn? Even if it's in a different department or different skill set. Like, Damon has passed down this culture that we want you to find that happiness, even if it's outside the scope of your current responsibilities. So like a side comment to that is, even when I hire new people, I ask them, we go through a lot of questions, but I primarily focus on 2 questions. So one is, what are you good at? And 2 is, what do you like doing? Because those can be dramatically different answers. And I focus on the second one. I focus on what they like to do. Because just because they're good at something doesn't mean they like to do it. And if they get stuck doing the same job, Well, guess what? They just left another company to come to yours, and they're going to do the same thing to you. They're going to get burned out on doing the same thing. So I try to position people in responsibilities for things that they like to do personally. So then, losing my train of thought here. So we were talking about
leadership, hiring people, bringing people up.
Leadership. Okay, so that's one team member is on the internal side. So then on the other side, it was like, okay, how do I scale? How do I bring somebody in on the leadership role? So we talked about the internal side. Now, how do we scale or protect the external side, like the client relationships and things like that? So then, basically, what I had to do is figure out how to place somebody, how to find people with the right soft skills. And so what I mean by that is somebody that will have an interest in protecting the things that I want to protect. It's not hard to find another copywriter or another web designer or another anything. There's millions of them out there, but it is hard to find a copywriter that cares or a web designer that understands the bigger picture. So I had to start focusing on those soft skills and putting people in places where they would be proud to take ownership. Like, they wouldn't do it just for a paycheck, but I could actually trust their judgment because I'm confident that they understand what the greater objective is within that role. So once I started to find those positions, then what contributed to the growth to needing those positions filled was a combination of a few things, but I could probably abbreviate it down to two reasons. One is COVID. And the other is a lot of seeds planted that had blossomed around the same time. So I'm a big relationship person, and so what we talked about how I get on social media and LinkedIn, and I go, here's an SEO problem, here's the answer. Here's a business question, here's the answer. Here's a remote team management question, here's the answer. And I don't expect anything in return. I don't send them to a landing page. I don't send them to a funnel. I don't send them to an email list. And so that establishes my credibility and then keeps me top of mind. So then when they do need the thing, then they come reach out to me. So by doing that, it planted a lot of seeds and created a lot of relationships that later, when those people were ready, I just had a chunk of them that came within over the months this year that were finally ready. Now, part of that is, I said, COVID. So my company's on the fortunate side where, as far as business is concerned, COVID increased a lot of demand for what we do. And so the combination of relationships that I had established that blossomed around that time, and then COVID could have accelerated some of those too, because it's always funny to me to go, oh, people learned that they need to be on the internet, because the internet's been around for a while now, and a lot of us will be like, well, duh, everything goes on the internet. But you would be amazed at how many massively successful businesses have a horrible website or not even a website at all. And so COVID pushed a lot of those people, gave them that one tiny little nudge they needed to go, oh yeah, I guess I better take this internet thing more seriously. So I think it was just a unique combination of establishing that expertise and trust through social proof, which drove a source of leads. And even the people that follow me online that didn't become clients, they told other people about what we do because I established a subconscious relationship with them through sharing my expertise. And so it was just a lot of intentional effort in helping other people in different ways that just kind of came back and returned itself.
And so throughout all of that, it sounds like for you it's just been find all the ways to add value while making sure that your family is safe and has financial security and probably independence and freedom by now. But just continue to make sure that you're adding as much value as possible without worrying about how much you're getting paid. Because if you're doing the right things, or at least in line with your values, then the money will eventually come. Might take longer, but you'll keep it.
Yeah, and it's so annoying to say that because it sounds so cliche, but it's true.